Hello, everybody. Um, Everybody who's looking at these YouTube videos is in some way a systemic designer. We love systems, we love interconnections, and we love how it all flows together on our planet and in our lives and in our houses and everything. We think about materials because we know that a lot of materials are polluting this world. We think about chemistry and about physics and about cities and how to really design systems better. Well, now I'm going to do it in YouTube videos as well. I'm going to show you what our projects are like, because then you will understand better how you can design your own projects in your own areas and make it a better place. So let me give you a little presentation, and then you're of course always welcome on the lab. We have an Abundance for All free of charge lab every first Monday of the month. So feel welcome. It's in English, so it's international, but we speak clear and slow English for all people around the world. And if you don't understand, always ask, because there are no silly questions. Let me see where my presentation is. Let me see how I can share my screen. Yes, this is it. Abundance for All is a think tank, an international one. We work a lot in Europe. We are based in the Netherlands, and we work a lot with Benelux scientists. So that is Dutch, that is Belgium. I love the Belgian ones, I must say. They are really, really wise, and they can really connect all these dots together. The science that I do is, well, I see it a lot in the University of Maastricht and the University of Nijmegen, where it is not just technical, it is always the combination of technical and how the whole modern way of combining it with social sciences works. So the technical people often don't see the humanity of it, and the human people, well, mostly they don't know better sciences or economy. So that's where I come in and explain. So we do everything on the global goals, of course. We have decided that this is the way. We have done it in the United Nations. All countries have decided that this is the future achieved in 2030. And we are going to tell you how it can be achieved, what it is you can do, what are the acupuncture points of change, so where you can really push a button and say, yes, this is a good idea, let's do this. It helps to think in interconnected and nested ways. And this is how the global goals look when you really connect them together. Of course, the bottom is, well, this is a picture of the Stockholm Resilience Center. They say it is the biosphere, so it is the air in the whole thing. Well, that is connected to the universe. That's what the universe does. It's nothing to do with really what's happening on the planet. On the planet is atmosphere, so that's the layer around the Earth. It is connected with gravity to the Earth. It is the soil, it is the water, and it is really the core of the Earth, because we live on a planet, and we let Mars do their Mars thing and Moon do their Moon thing. We live on this planet, and we need to redesign our systems. So if you look at sphere, I will always talk soil, soil microbes, water microbes, everything invisible, gravity to the planet. So society is the one in the planet, economy is the one in the society. We have 90% SMEs, so that are all small companies who can interconnect together. And then we have the interconnections for the global goals, for the plans. So it's time to ask nature, because we're still trying to fight and fight each other and fight nature and fight everything. And nature does it differently. Nature has competition and nature has collaboration. And it all is connected in time and space. Well, time and space, time and place. Time can be slow or it can be very fast. And it all has a different resonance, a different rhythm. Yeah, you can combine slow with fast, with slow, with longer, with shorter, with everything. And that's where the super formula comes in. And you know, I talk a lot about super formula, the dynamic math that has emerged in science in 2003. And that's where we are all gonna change it with. So it's time to ask nature how she does things, because the best connected, interconnected, planetary whatever is nature. And we can learn from her. We can learn from biology, from ecology. Biology is the species, is the small bit. Ecology is the interconnected bit. And we can design with nature. We can also challenge nature and say, okay, but what does it fit us? Because fire is nature too, and a wildfire is not really so good for people and cities. So we can adapt cities, we can prevent wildfires, we can also design ways to make things healthy and happy. That's what we're going to do in systems design. We always start with, oh, let me tell you one more thing. We always want to make things cheap because I want affordable basic needs for all. There are too many poor people. If you want to do the global goals, no poverty is first. And we don't want poverty. We don't want hunger. We want good health and well-being. We want quality education, and we know that young people know much more than we do, so we just need to give them the basics, and that is super formula. If you can really grasp it, then they will really invent the whole new world with their own resonance, in their own time, with Web3, with tech, with, I see my grandchildren, they cannot imagine a world without tech. And the good thing is they learn interconnectedness and complexity in very, very resonant ways. My grandchildren of 7 and 8, they learned how to play chess, and they do it intuitively and they do it great. They now already beat me. And well, I was a bit of a chess player in my time. So I love it how these young people are really making their own world. They will find it out. We just go with them, and I will tell them where to look. I will tell them, oh, don't just look on your phone. Don't make a selfie. If you just make a selfie, it's okay. But if you do it on top of a cliff, you'll fall off. So I'm not keeping them safe by putting a fence around them. I'm keeping them safe by really letting them use their resonance and knowing what is dangerous or not. So we always start with the soil map. This is the soil map of Holland. And soil map is, of course, also a water map, because the soil makes sure that it also holds water. And if you want healthy water cycles, you need to hold water. And that is done by microbes and soil and geology and whatever. And in the Institute of Biomimicry Innovations, which is in the Netherlands, and we do a lot of huge projects in the Netherlands, based from Venlo, which is on the corner of Germany and Belgium, because then you have more diversity and see more solutions. We are doing these projects in harbors, for instance, but also in all kinds of area designs, because the area designs are really making it different now. We also design sectors. We give 1,000+ business models for farmers, and then they can choose, and then it will not become a monopoly, but they will all be interconnected, doing their stuff within the supply chains and within whatever they want to do. And that's what makes a very vibrant economic climate. So we design with 4 flows: materials, money, people, and data. And data is information and communication. We all know that leadership needs communication. And we want peaceful leadership, because we don't want to make people angry. So that is also something we can design with Super Formula. But this is not about that. That will be another little film. What we do here is very physical, very much about nature and water. We get maybe a project. In this case, we got a project asking, okay, how can we change? We need to use everything we have in the mobility and the transport, because then the pressure on the earth is less. So we know that we need to not have only trucks, but we also need the whole modal shift, we call it, multimodal transport. We need trains, trucks, cars, walking, cycling, steps. We need all kinds of things. So people and goods can be transported in healthy ways. We always put health first. So we got a question from the government and from the companies in a harbor area to help them with an economic solution. And they said, okay, we do not want only trucks. We want a vibrant harbor with a lot of multimodal shift thingies. Well, we say, of course, we think from nature perspective. We say, well, if you have a harbor, you have everything. You have water, you have soil, you have data, you have everything. Lots of companies together. You have an environment, which is people living there. You have employees. They can be educated because at another time they are citizens again. And then we said, give us a project and we will do river harbors. It's inland. It's not so much about the coast, but it is about inland river harbor flows of transport and mobility. And I must say the transport and mobility people understand this always best, because that's how you understand dynamics. Things go slow, you have storage. Things go faster, you have transport. Things go faster in different modalities, which is you have planes, you have cyclists, you have a person just walking slow, but you also can go fast, or you can, and some goods need fast. If you need to preserve goods, for instance, food, for instance, you might go fast and you might want to refrigerate it and put it on ice. But then also, if you go slower, you might want to dry it and not make sure it can go slower. So we look at full spectrums. That's what we do. It's the only thing we do. So we took this project. We first looked at the whole soil map. We are here in the south. It has the longest border of all our provinces in Holland. So we have a long border with Belgium, although Brabant has a longer border with Belgium. We have a long border with Germany, and the Germans really have a different culture, you know, they do things differently, and you learn so much from them. So we really try to design everything in the river harbors to make them healthy. That's our main focus always, health for people and environment. And then we start designing. And then you can see you don't always need machines. You can really design with nature principles. And that's where biomimicry comes in, and I really love it. Because you can design with, for instance, a curve and a flow. And the river makes it very, very, very clear. Because a river goes slow when it does exchange. That can also be money, or that can also be materials. It goes slow when it does exchange. And it goes faster when it does transport. But of course, it gets a real challenge if you want to go fast with your boats. And if you do not want the fresh water in the rivers to go fast to the sea, because then it becomes salt water immediately. And well, not everywhere we have the salt water to freshwater changes with other ways than osmosis that need a lot of energy. So I need to explain about those design principles as well, but I will not do it this time. It will be too long then. So what if in this harbor we take one of the riverbeds? We have we have canals. We want everything local. Let me put that first. We want everything local. It's everything needs to be for the local people, because otherwise we will not have a local economy. So for the local people. Then when we want to do stuff, we say, okay, we want local energy sources. Really, we don't want geopolitics. Of course we don't. We don't want to be dependent on China. We don't want to be dependent on whoever. We want local, local, local. So we have to provide local, local, local. So we have technology that works with differences in levels. It is a heat exchanger in sheet pile walls of the canal and the harbors. Well, you all have canals and harbors in your countries. And these technologies, using differences, it can be differences of water levels, it can be differences of heat, it can be differences. Everything works with differences in science in our planet. So everything works. If you have a huge difference, you get a faster flow. If you have a smaller difference, you get a smaller flow, a more solid flow. So all these technologies will change it all. So we do a report. At first, we scan the harbor. We scan it with the companies and with the governments. Of course, to bring those two together is always that's a hard job. They talk different languages, they use different jargons, they have different concepts about business models and how they get the money and spend the money and whatever. So we try to bring them together, but then there's a lot of mistrust. So we always talk to the government separate and to the businesses separate. And we are the neutral party, always neutral. We're not consultants for whomever, we're neutral. Yes, that's important. Be in between as a neutral, otherwise people won't trust you. Use their language, their concepts, understand where they are, what their problems are, and then you can combine them together. Yeah. So we have interviews, because journalism is the best people also who understand systemic designs and systems as a whole. So they are interviewers, they are receivers of information. And the receivers of information will always connect the whole things, because the others are the experts and they're just in their rabbit holes. Let them be in their rabbit holes. It's not, they don't have to come up to the levels and be at our level. Why would they be? You have connectors of dots and you have specialists, and that's all okay. So we talk to the companies, see what their problems are, see what their solutions are, and then we connect it all together in an aggregation. Yes, government, companies, we have all the solutions. And we also put surprising ones in there. We say sometimes, okay, we have really big problems with microplastics. Well, you can solve it by close by the source, put a filter there. But who's going to pay for this filter? That's the next question. Will the government pay for it, all these filters, or will the companies pay for them? You have to also know where the microplastics come from. Well, that's our job. We know that the microplastics come from washing of synthetic clothes, which is something from consumers. So then consumers have to solve it, or the government has to solve it for them. It comes from particles, wear of car tires. Well, wear of car tires, it's not only in the water, it's also in the air, because we breathe them in, which is really horrible. So we need to get to the car tire manufacturers, where we try to be, to really do material science thingies, so that things are biodegradable in our bodies, because our bodies are 70% water. So we need to be biodegradable in water. And also we need to have roads that really clean the water. So that's also material science. And that's also where we do stuff and where we get extra projects. We start with one of these projects and then we get extra projects with all this science and technology and all these things. We also show where the law lock-ins are. Of course, for instance, we have a wonderful company in our collective, in our consortium, and they are the slip bank. They do sediments. They are really big on sediments, and they understand nature and how soil works and how microbes clean soils and everything. So we are suggesting in these projects that we do not have straight roads everywhere. That's good for fast transport, but we also need meandering, because we need exchange. We need healthy exchanges of all the nutrients and everything. And then we need things to be healthy in the soil next to the river. We also need things to be just working with the microbes. Microbes mutate all the time. They come in huge flocks. There are trillions of them, different ones, and they all balance it out together. You can also, if you want to understand systemic design and systems thinking, you can also look at how microbes do it. You have algae in there and bacteria and viruses, and we have all kinds of microbes in there. They give us our oxygen. The wonderful ones are the diatoms. I love them because they give humans oxygen and they create the oxygen on the planet. So they create 20% of all the oxygen in seawater. And we need to understand how they do it so we can really get our tech going as well. Because they're also 95% efficient in turning light into energy. And that's where it goes. That's how it works. So if you understand the diatom, you understand how to make the most efficient solar panel. And of course, it's an interconnected one, otherwise you get fires. And of course, it works with Elon Musk technology of having very 12 volts, for instance. It is how we understand how the inside of a car works. And if you talk to technology people about that, they understand how it is in a scope, a closed scope, and how the energy goes without fires and without turning everything on fire, which is not a good thing to do. Fire is good for cooking. It's not good for putting everything on fire and having sparks in an overheated climate, because it is getting hotter and hotter and hotter on the planet. We have to design for that. Oh yes, I was talking about the meandering river. So we put one curve in there, meander, trap the toxic sediments, and then make healthy building blocks out of it. But there is, of course, a law lock-in, because the governments, they really don't understand anything about microbes and how this all works and how you make it healthy. So they do not allow us to make building blocks that absorb CO2, which is silly, of course, because we need all these solutions. So there are many lock-ins there, and we put out the lock-ins and we make all the new solutions from all these companies that are innovating and really making all the growth in the system, in the economic system, work interconnectedly. We also show how companies can really use each other's rest streams. And a rest stream is a waste stream or a pollution stream. So to the governments, we say, okay, make one simple new rule, a law. Everybody is responsible for everything they create, also waste and pollution, and they will give it to their neighbors first. And they will make sure they have neighbors that can use it first. And then you get really wonderful interconnected harbor systems. And of course, you can design it better when you have an empty space and you go and get new companies in there. You can invite them in. You can invite them in as a new company thingy. And you can invite companies in. If a company comes there that emits CO2, like a beer brewer, then you put a spirulina grower next to it, because spirulina is a superfood, and we want beer and we want superfood and we want everything. So we want it all and we create it all in all these interconnected ways. That's it for now. This is how you do biomimicry. This is the website asknature.org. have a look. Look at how you can do. It is about combining biology and physics, biology and physics, biology and physics, and designing. And we still don't use 80% of biological strategies because they're interconnected and they make a complex system. And that's where a lot of companies find it a bit too difficult. They do chemistry like they do physics. They cut and paste physical material instead of going for transformations. Well, that's how chemistry can become green chemistry. That's also how physics can really innovate hugely in all kinds of ways. This is how you do it. In the website asknature.org, you put in something like break down ethanol. We had a question from a chocolate factory about that. Well, that is very interesting. We want to do it with little energy, of course, because normally our chemist says, well, heating should be enough. And it is. Heating should be enough. But for heating, you need energy. So if you want to do it energy efficiently, you go to other ways, other processes. Everything is processes in a dynamic world. Everything is processes. So I love processes. And then you say, okay, so how do we design this for a chocolate factory? We go very broad. We look at this. You see breakdown as 87. Breakdown non-living materials is 5. We have get, store, or distribute resources. We have maintain community. We have make. We have modify. We have move or stay put. We have, this is, if you say for move, then it would be really great for on a ship, how to design for energy efficiently on a ship. Stay put is more in a factory. So you can really look at all these kind of solutions. What we do is 3 things: synergy, synthesis, and syntropy. Synergy, we know by now that 1 + 1 is more than 2 in a complex system. If you want to do bigger math than that, go to super formula. It is the math that is given to us, dynamic math, in 2003. And it's really, it changes everything, makes everything energy efficient, makes everything connect also better. It is called Gilles transformations. It is, first of all, because it is discovered by Dr. Johan Gilles, who is a professor in Antwerp. I really love the Belgian people. And it's also because Gilles is the acronym for generalized, intrinsic, and extrinsic length in submanifolds. And submanifolds is the nested part. A society, you can also say a submarine, which is in the water, or a human, which is in the atmosphere, or and all kinds of sciences now are really transforming because they understand the formula, and they understand that there is a deep hole inside of a complex system. There's always a hole in a complex system, and that's where it happens in space. Space is where it happens, and space is where the development potential is. So those are the 2 things to remember. The hole inside ourselves, we go there with meditation. We go there with really biological ways, and we look at development potential. What's the space? What's the space? Where do I put healthy space? Where can I dynamically flow for healthy space? Synthesis is all about complementary elements, and you have to put them close together if you are in a local area. So that's what I say with the little example. If you have an emitter of CO2, put a spirulina grower next to it, and you do not have to have big cables. You do not have to have, so we always replace something with nothing. And that's why you also make space for the planet to do whatever she has to do. Make space. Syntropy is the moment of transformation. Have you ever really looked at a river? She makes one wave one side and one wave another side. And then you see how she gets the microbes out, because she gets the oxygen out. So that's how she gets the aerobe microbes out. And then the next phase, she puts some microbes in again by making space. And then the oxygen comes. Oxygen comes automatically. Have you ever tried to breathe? We always think we need to breathe in. No, you breathe out. Automatically, the breath comes in. Oxygen is not something we have to think about. We need to breathe out more. That's it for now. This is biomimicry. I'll do it the next time. Come to our labs. And then we'll see each other again on the first Monday of every month. 4th of September is the next one. And feel welcome. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, and don't remember, we are water, inside and outside. Water is all that matters. And if you understand how it becomes salt and how it gets into fresh again, how we can turn it into fresh without needing a lot of energy, then you understand design thinking. Bye-bye.